Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the Columbo reaction video series with Season 1, Episode 3, Deadweight. We just got done watching Death Lends a Hand with the amazing Robert Culp, and now we're jumping into Episode 3, so we are cruising right along. Technically, I guess you could call this Episode 5 if you count the first two pilots of Season 1, but I'm actually counting the first two pilots as two pilots, and then Season 1, for me, I'm marking as Murder by the Book, which I think is correct. It better be correct because I've already started counting the episodes that way. But yes, Deadweight is the third episode of Season 1, and then the two pilots I count in their own little magical bubble sphere thing. But anyway, neither here nor there. So Season 1, Episode 3, Deadweight, it premiered October 26, 1971. The description is an unstable witness along with the absence of a body and murder weapon complicate a case against an American war hero. Guest star Eddie Albert. This should be a fun watch. Oh god, I hope these captions are on. Let's double check that. Okay, now the subtitles are on. Deadweight. A very long establishing shot. But good to tell you about the person that inherits this place. You know, I do wish some shows would go back to this format of having their episodes be an hour. I don't know, that seems like it's become significantly more frowned upon these days. The length of episodes, anyway. That's the dream right there, to have a portrait of yourself in your place.
Dutton? General Hollister. Come in.
Why does this guy have so many plants in his house?
I don't have much time. I would have called, but...
But what?
I didn't want to risk a wiretap.
A wiretap? You sound paranoid, Colonel.
No, General, just being cautious. The Inspector General's starting a full-scale investigation of arms contracts.
That's unfortunate. But I suppose it would have happened sooner or later.
If they find out.
They won't find out.
They're bound to discover that I've let your construction company charge us a fortune in cost overruns. When the IG sees your bargain basement bids... They'll know I let you practically steal those contracts. They'll indict both of us. Well, maybe you can bluff them, sir, but I don't have your reputation.
You'll have less of a reputation if you go AWOL. It's an admission of guilt.
They won't know it for 30 days. I just took my annual leave.
It's a small world, Colonel. They'll find you.
Naturally, I'd keep your involvement to myself. I'd refuse to testify.
Yeah, he's the victim.
Not even to shorten a jail sentence? How did you get here, Colonel? Taxi?
No, sir, I drove. Why?
I've been thinking, you present me with a problem. You assure me that my name will never come into this.
Maybe don't stand by the guns.
You will be my protector. I'm afraid I can't take that risk.
Come on, dude. It's like Street Smarts 101.
Did you see that? What? A man just shot someone.
I don't see anything.
He just moved away from the window.
You've been out in the sun too long.
No, we're going back.
We're going
These
what?
outfits, though, they're
What
They're-
are you doing?
a lot.
I got it. It's all right. I'm all right.
You take this. But what'll I do with it?
These voiceovers, though, they clearly edited in their voices in post. These outfits are a lot. They're so loud. I wonder where this was filmed.
Hand me your aft line, Mrs. Wallace. I'll secure your stern.
I beg your pardon.
I'll tie up your boat.
Oh. Is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
A simple joke, but it works.
What are you gonna do?
What does it look like?
Oh, hello, operator. Could I please have the police? I'd like to report a shooting.
I actually really like the fact that this show opens up with, like, the killers and other characters besides Columbo, because it gives you an opportunity to get to know them and attach to them before you bring the main character in. I really think it serves the show well in that aspect.
Officer Sanchez.
This man in a bathrobe, he shot another man in a uniform.
What kind of uniform was it?
Well, I'm sure it was a military uniform.
How many voiceover edits did they do in this episode?
My daughter's the one who sees things, officer, not me.
You know, just because you were looking in the other direction doesn't mean that I didn't see it.
Where was the shooting, Mrs. Stewart?
See that house over there?
Are you sure?
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
You know who lives in that house?
Well, no, does it matter?
I'd rather not say till we've had a chance to investigate. If we need anything more, you'll be contacted.
Oh.
Thank you.
985-4321.
The officer's kind of cute.
You know,
Come on!
I see your point, Sanchez. I'd better send over somebody from homicide. Stand by, and I'll have them there as soon as I can.
Roger.
Is that his official theme? The is that his theme? Because they've played it. They played a lot in season 1, but they seem
Sorry,
to
sir.
drop it by
For what?
season 2.
Reserved.
Oh, I see. All right. Who is it reserved for?
Police.
Oh, I think I'm the one that you're waiting for. I'm Lieutenant. My name is Columbo.
Oh, sorry, Lieutenant. I was expecting an official car.
Well, that's all right. Your name is Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
Is there another way out of this house?
By water. The General's got a yacht in the slip back of the house.
I see. All right, I'm gonna go in and speak to the General, and while I'm doing that, I want you to search the yacht.
But, Lieutenant, I don't have a warrant.
Well, I'll ask the General for permission. If he doesn't give it, then I'll get a warrant. In the meantime, check it out. Listen, pay particular attention to the engines. And if you find out anything, let me know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that musical cue for Columbo is his unofficial theme for the character. But then again, they did drop it after a certain point, and his theme turned into the This Old Man tune, which I'm not gonna lie, I love.
I'm from the police, sir. My name is Columbo.
Oh, that's his badge. Oh wait, there's a fun fact on that.
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but we have this report about this shooting
I'll read it at the end from Shooting Columbo.
in this house.
But we weren't technically
Quite an opening
supposed to be
line,
able to see that badge.
Sir, I'm sure it's just a crackpot complaint, but
But it's your job to follow it up.
yes, sir.
Well, come in.
Shoot, this Eddie
As a
something
matter of
actor.
fact,
I can't remember where I've
MMI
seen him and what
is
else I've
giving
seen
me
him
a
in.
testimonial dinner tonight. They're commemorating the 20th anniversary of my retirement.
Eddie Albert. Where have I seen him?
Lieutenant, wouldn't that be a little obvious?
Well, I want to be in a position, sir, where I can tell my superiors that I've checked everything out.
They've already started nailing it shut.
It's just 2 nails, sir.
I have a friend here who would like to inspect the contents of the crate. Would you open it again, please?
Oh, yeah. Okay, Eddie Albert was in Green Acres. That makes sense. That's why I know him. We used to watch, me and my siblings used to watch Green Acres and like The Lone Ranger and Brady Bunch when we were kids.
War trophies, Lieutenant. All Soviet-made, and as you've observed, all with their firing pins removed. War mementos, Lieutenant. Lively memories, empty uniforms.
Say, you got a beautiful place here. It's
Thank you.
roomy and it's homey and that's a fireplace. Wow. Boy, you know, when I was a kid, we used to have those fake wooden kinds. I don't know if you remember them or not, General. They had a fan in the back and they had a red light and ribbons, and you turn on the fan and the ribbons, they would flutter there. Yeah, they were terrific. You know, they
I feel like Columbo is like a little ADHD, and I love it.
No, I never got fired there. The person who turned in that report was right. There was someone here in uniform. Me. While I was packing, I couldn't resist trying on the old harness, you know.
This guy is extremely cool under pressure.
In the bathrobe.
Whoever filed that report was seeing double. I was wearing a bathrobe while I was packing.
Got a match?
There you are.
Thank you.
Is that big enough? I don't think that's big enough.
Hey, that's quite a lighter.
Yeah, why is the lighter massive?
Yeah, that's something.
Basic
This is gonna
BOQ.
sound weird, but I can almost smell that
That's
room.
why I like it.
Looks like it smells like musty and of old cigars.
Any servants?
Just a housekeeper comes in twice a week.
This guy is extremely cool and suave under pressure. And he's not like over-explaining himself, which is nice because a lot of the killers tend to over-explain themselves.
Lieutenant, the bedrooms are this way.
Why was that angle on Peter's face like so zoomed in? That was a weird angle.
Yes, bedroom, Lieutenant.
General, you been here all day?
No, I was out on my boat till about 2.
You didn't go
Was
out
that a
after
TV on the desk? What is that? Radio?
I was here packing, getting ready for the testimonial dinner. Extra uniforms.
General, that's a lot of fruit salad.
Past history. All to be donated, Lieutenant. Well, you've had the tour.
No, don't donate them. They're gonna be worth so much.
Do you happen to own a gun, General? A handgun?
Yes, I do. A target pistol. I never think of it as a weapon. There you are.
He just takes Columbo and goes.
What's that medal for?
Oh, that's a first with the United States Marine pistol.
This guy is like, he's so smug in a way. He's like, hey Columbo, here are all my uniforms with all of my medals, and here's my gun, and oh wow, look, there just happens to be another medal there. Like.
I was thinking of giving it over to the exhibition. Although it's never had
Also, I feel like this mic
my
is super sensitive right now. I don't know why, and if it's making the audio a little fuzzy or weird, I'm so sorry. I'll try to fix this in post.
Yeah. I stumbled over the crate as I was looking at the gun.
Okay, now the dude's over explaining.
Well, that must have been what your witness saw. There we are.
Now Columbo's like, okay, I suspect you.
There we are. I doubt if I could win any medals today. I've been so busy for months I haven't had any chance to practice. Take it along with you. Have your people check it out.
Columbo, maybe don't point that towards your face.
I think I'm on a wild goose chase.
Who turned in the report?
Oh, I'm afraid I can't tell you that, sir.
Oh.
No, sir, that's against regulations.
Whoever it was, it had to be some guy out here in a boat in the marina.
Well, General, I'd like to keep the record straight on that. Now, I never said that it was a man.
Oh, you mean it was a woman?
Well, no, I never said that either, sir.
It doesn't make any difference. Mistakes have no gender.
Well, that's for sure.
Good night, Lieutenant.
Oh, one thing I almost forgot.
Yes.
Your boat.
That's never gonna get old.
I had the boat checked out, sir, while we were talking. I didn't think you had anything to hide, sir, and I just thought it would save some time.
I always preached initiative to my men.
Yeah, Columbo already suspects him. Who's he kidding?
I don't see how I can object now. Thank you, Lieutenant.
That guy could easily just go and be done with Columbo.
Enjoy your dinner.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant.
Didn't find a thing.
The engines?
They were cold.
This Mrs. Stewart, did she look like she could have been doing any drinking?
Could have been. I don't really know.
Guess we both got a lot of paperwork to do, huh?
Or maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
Mr. Barnes, a couple of hours ago, out on the marina, somebody waved at me. I think it was an old friend. You got any idea who it could have been?
Was it one of my boats?
I think it might have been, yeah.
It's probably Mrs. Stewart and her mother.
Do you know where she lives? I'd like to have a few words with her.
Yeah, sure. I got it right here.
This is extremely suspicious.
Hey, General, you're not going to go sailing with her, are you? Man,
Oh, I remember
man, woman, or
this.
child. She can't sail. I
Really?
couldn't take my
This
eyes
is
off
the
her. I
episode
thought
where
she was gonna
he
keel over
sham romances her,
Well,
right?
I'll
The
watch it, Mr.
creepy
Barnes.
romance between him
Thanks for your
and
good thought.
Mrs. Stewart.
Thank you.
Oh, now I'm starting to remember. Ooh! This looks like a groovy house party. Man, I really don't remember this episode. This episode is Dead Weight.
Just a minute.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Lieutenant Columbo from the police about a report you made of a shooting.
Oh, yes, come in.
Who is it, Helen?
It's the police, Mother. We're just having a before dinner cocktail. Would you,
No, that's all right.
Ask for his identification.
Oh, Mother, I'm sorry,
That's
Lieutenant.
all right. That's all right. She's entitled
What
to
are her outfits?
You are, man.
You sure don't look like a policeman. I have to make a salad.
You are.
I have to make a salad.
Eternal optimist. Well, Lieutenant, what
What is that? You mind?
would you like to see it?
Well, I'd like it very much.
Well, it's not finished yet. When it's done, it's going to be a bowl, you know, like for plants and things.
What is her
Well,
outfit?
this work is very, very interesting.
Well, they say it's important to work with your hands.
It's very good therapy, and she needs it.
I've done some massive therapeutic studies lately.
Maybe don't say that.
Sailing, art classes. I even went back to work. I work with children and animals.
That's constructive.
Oh, you see that? That's a reflection of my job. You don't know what it is, do you?
Is it a llama?
No, I don't know what it is, but it's very nice.
Well, it's a South American llama. We have them.
Oh, it is a llama. Oh, okay.
The art park. That's where I work with the children and the animals.
It is a llama. Okay. Very cool.
So this
I
fella
feel like
here
this
is a
mic is so
llama.
sensitive right now.
You see, I try and go beyond the surface, you know, to find a deeper meaning, a truer reality. At least that's what I think I do.
Mrs. Stewart, you know, I couldn't find any evidence of any shooting in that house that you pointed out. I mean, there was no gun, there was no victim, there was nothing.
I know what I saw.
Well, maybe you think you saw.
What does that mean?
The fellow that owns that house is a retired Marine general. He says that if you saw him in the window, 1, he was alone. 2, he was wearing a bathrobe.
Well, what about the man in uniform?
Well, he says that later on he did try on an old uniform, and he was carrying a target pistol at the time. To you, does that sound like a reasonable explanation?
Oh, very reasonable. But it's not what I saw.
Look, I don't want you to get offended at what I'm going to say now, but doing a little drinking this afternoon.
Oh, Lieutenant, this is really too much. I mean, that police officer this afternoon, and then my mother, and now I am not hallucinating. The one in the bathrobe shot the other man. Now, that is the simple truth. The sane and the sober and the simple truth. Now, do you believe me?
Mrs. Stewart, a murder charge is about as serious as you can get.
Now, Lieutenant, I didn't ask you if it was a serious charge. I asked you if you believe me.
That's fair. Boy, she has stunning eyes. There's another person that he reminds me of. Is it maybe... Oh, he reminds me a little bit of the dude from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That guy. The evil bad guy. What is his name? The one who shoots Indy's father.
We did have a weird imagination.
Dude,
Child.
what is this mom's deal?
Playmates, all those games.
Yeah, what's the deal with this woman?
Mrs. Stewart?
No. I'll call her for you.
Yes?
You're Mrs. Stewart?
What can I do for you?
You
Oh,
can
man.
watch the 11 o'clock news on television tonight. Apparently, I need a character reference.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
You don't recognize me?
No. Should I?
You said that you saw me shoot somebody today. No, you have nothing to fear from me, Mrs. Stewart. But if you'll watch the late news tonight, I'm sure you'll agree that you've miscast me as a murderer.
Oh man, there's an arrogance about this guy. Ugh. Also, I just remembered that weird romance, like I was talking about earlier, between them. He could be her grandfather. It is very strange for me to be watching these Columbo episodes right now because I was just at Universal back in May, and we did the studio tour, which is the first time I've done it as like an adult. I did it as a kid once, but I don't really remember it. So it's weird for me to see all this, especially when Universal's so fresh in my memory.
Foreign scene, the Secretary of State again reiterated the United States' determination to keep current troop levels in Europe stable.
Man, the sheer arrogance of this guy. Watch this, because I'm a good person.
You still think a man like that could shoot someone for no reason at all? It's practically on Mount Rushmore. You didn't even recognize him when he came here. Why don't you just admit that you're not sure?
Because I am sure.
Yeah, well, you were sure when you were married to Tom, too. Do you remember that? You had him running around with every woman in town. No wonder he asked you for a divorce.
Why are you taking everybody's side except your own daughter's?
What flesh and blood ladies he was carrying on with, he even admitted it.
Your pot's overcooking.
That is not a pot.
Is it the llama?
Rock.
Oh.
General Hollister, colorful character. Reminds me of General Patton, old blood and guts. Hey,
I feel like there are a bunch of reoccurring actors in this show, and this guy's one of them, where they just pop up over and over and over again.
Going on?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna do a little fishing.
What is the inside design of that jacket? Just a quick drink before I go on to dispose of the evidence of the rotting corpse that I've been holding in my household for an ungodly amount of time. Oh god, that is really disturbing. Honestly, that's probably one of the more disturbing and graphic depictions of murder in the original Columbo run, I think, anyway. Interesting transition there. Perfect timing. Do you guys like being on boats? I think it really depends for me. I mean, the first time I was on a boat was when I went to go whale watching, like, many years ago, like 15 years ago, and I got seasick for about 15 minutes. But ever since then, I've been fine.
Oh, yes, sir.
Be right with you.
Yeah. Combining a little business with pleasure.
At this hour?
But then again, I think it depends on the kind of boat.
The best time to catch anything is around about now. He says get there before everybody, and you kind of catch the fish off guard.
Doesn't look like it worked.
Not yet, but I'm going to keep trying.
I don't think you'll catch anything big around here, Lieutenant. You're too close.
Except you.
Oh? Yeah.
Sorry, that was bad. That was really bad. I'm so sorry.
General, yesterday when I asked you whether you owned any guns, you showed me your souvenirs and you showed me your target pistol, which is all very well and good. But I was wondering, whatever happened to that pearl-handled revolver? Because when I looked into the crate, you know, I didn't see it in there.
Lost it, Lieutenant. A long time ago. Somebody liberated it, you know. Wanted a souvenir.
So the Hollister exhibit is going to have to do without the famous Hollister gun?
Not exactly. MMI wanted one for their memorial, so they had a duplicate made. Now, I've got to change, so if there's anything else I can do for you...
No, that'll be all, sir.
Now he suspects him.
Just a piece of advice. Find a different spot, or use a different bait. Otherwise, you're not going to catch anything, Lieutenant.
Aha, metaphorical. Metaphorical. I love it when he does that. He has specific movements. I like her hair. It's cute. Oh, her pants are cute too.
Did you watch television last night?
Yes, I did.
Do you suppose that you and I could go somewhere, a public place if you're worried, someplace where we could have a drink?
What is she supposed to be, like 30-something and he's like 70? He's old enough to be her grandfather. I feel like this poor girl's been gaslit so much in this episode. You know, by that first young cop, Sanchez, a little bit by Columbo, and now by this sleazebag.
Possible.
Honestly, he's probably the main gaslighter.
The defense rests for today. Now, I think we ought to prosecute these martinis before their statutes of limitations expire.
Well, what about you? Are you married?
No, I never could find the time. First there was my military.
Thank God it's a sham romance.
I want to take you to dinner. Agreed?
Isn't that kind of what you're doing now, but with drinks?
I'll take that for a yes.
And if Helen had just closed her eyes to some of Tom's flirtations, they might still be married.
This mother is horrible.
Your husband, Mrs. Walters.
Who knows? Sent him out for Chinese food 30 years ago, and I haven't heard from him since. You know that I have raised
Can't
that
blame
girl
him.
since she was 3 years old, single-handed.
Hello?
Stuart?
Hello, Lieutenant.
Well, I hope you don't expect to eat now.
Well, as a matter of fact, I had dinner with General Hollister.
General Hollister?
Oop, red flag,
What do
red
you know
flag.
about that? Are you going to see him again?
He asked me to come out on his yacht.
Well, that calls for a drink.
Red flag,
Your
red
card's
flag.
right. Bourbon today, champagne tomorrow.
He could date the mother.
Well, I didn't tell him your name, you know. And I didn't tell him where you live, so, he must have gone up to a lot of trouble to find you.
Well,
Yeah, it's good.
curiosity about his accuser.
Yeah. Of course, it could be something else.
Oh, thanks a lot, Lieutenant. I mean, am I so uninteresting that he couldn't be interested in me for myself?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
No, I didn't mean that at all. You're a very individual person. No, what I was
That's an
talking
interesting
about was the
compliment.
shooting. You see, I had second thoughts about the shooting. You see, our traffic people, they picked up a couple of kids. They were joyriding in a car they hot-wired, and it turned out that this car belonged to a Roger Dutton, and he's a Marine colonel, Mrs. Stewart. And it could be that he was the man that you saw in the general's house.
You know, you did a lot of investigating for a man who asked me if I wore glasses or if I had been drinking.
Anyway, I found out that this Colonel Dutton booked a passage on an 8 p.m. flight to Switzerland. But then, he never showed up to take the plane.
Well, I still don't get the connection.
No, but he had a lot of dealings with General Hollister.
Oh, you can see the staged lighting in that shot.
And then he just disappeared.
Like where they're pushing the lights.
Now, if you could identify the officer in this photograph as the man that General Hollister shot, then I think a lot of these pieces would fall into place.
I can't be sure.
Well, now that photograph is 3 years
Well, I
old.
mean, it all happened so quick. I just can't be sure.
Okay. Well, we haven't found the body yet, so why don't you just keep that? And maybe we'll come back to you. Yes. All right. Good night, Mrs. Walters. Good night, Mrs. Stewart. You know what strikes me? You're the one that downgrades yourself. One dinner with General Hollister, and you begin to doubt your senses.
He's got you there. God, she is really beautiful. She has lovely features. She's just dead. Well, he got to her already. That actually seems lovely.
Helen, you awake?
Oh, I never knew how hard fishing could be.
You know, you said that you saw a shooting there. About this same time of day.
Dude, if I was her, I would be so suspicious of him. Like, my suspicions would go up. I wouldn't become more, like, chill around him. I'd be like, this is really weird.
Well, people used to smirk and make jokes. Those were my plumper days. My mother said I look like a radish.
Your mother is toxic and a gaslighter and abusive, and you should get away from her.
That's an order.
Ugh, don't use that's an order. Ugh. No, I don't like this. Can we pan away from this? I'm deeply uncomfortable. No!
Early this morning, the body of a man surfaced in the ocean 1/2 mile off Morago Cove. The body has been identified as that of Colonel Roger Dutton of the United States Marine Materiel Command.
Ahoy! Ahoy there, Lieutenant. What's this, another fishing expedition?
Well, not exactly. Just wanted to talk to you, General.
Oh, I'm afraid I can't right now. No time. I'm taking an overnight haul. I want to test the engines.
Okay.
Cast this line off down here and then...
There's so many
hop
like
aboard.
little things about Columbo you have to love. Like the fact that he gets seasick. There's that musical cue again. I feel like that's his first theme before it became this old man. Tiny leap. Just lay down on that bed thing there and relax. The Iron Horseman. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of the episode now, Last Salute to the Commodore. And that episode was so weird. Sorry. Oh man. I feel like Last Salute to the Commodore is what happens when everybody on the Columbo crew is high as a kite.
You know, the biggest thing I've ever been on before is a rowboat. I was wondering, General, have you heard about that body that they found off Morago Cove?
Oh, Colonel Dutton, yeah. I just heard about it. Just came over the radio. Yeah, that's shocking. Any idea what happened?
Yes, sir. Somebody shot him, sir. Now, I guess the sharks must have cut through whatever was holding them down.
Well, this is all very interesting, Lieutenant, but why are you telling me this?
Well, sir, to protect you. You see, I know that this is ridiculous, but the fellas down there at the department, they're saying they've got some kind of a pretty good case against you.
Oh?
Yeah. Of course, they're way out of line, I know that.
Of course, of course.
General, if you don't mind, I'd like to go back now.
Yes, as you wish. I guess we're about through with this test run, huh? I don't see how a man with the name of Columbo shouldn't he be more at home on a boat?
Must have been another branch of the family, sir. How soon before we land?
Not long.
I like that they add those little things to the character.
You know, General, there is a link between you and Colonel Dutton.
Really?
Mrs. Stewart, an eyewitness to the murder of a military man in your house.
Help the lady aboard.
Oh, Lieutenant, would you,
Let me take the bag.
well, no, maybe you better. Could you just, yeah,
All right,
no, yeah.
Should I
There,
take the
yeah.
bag?
Oh,
All right.
all right?
There we go.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's all right. Are you all right?
Me, fine. Just fine, yes. There's something I wanted to talk to you about, Mrs. Stewart. We've just recovered a body. Colonel Dutton, the man that I spoke to you about. Somebody dumped him in the ocean.
He thinks I shot him.
Well, I didn't see anything.
Well, now, Mrs. Stewart, that's not what you said.
Well, no, it was the light, some crazy reflection.
You told me that you distinctly...
I don't care what I said. I was wrong. Can't a person make a mistake?
Look, maybe you'd like to talk about this later on.
Well, I'm going to say the same thing later that I'm saying now, so would you just please leave me alone?
Further pressing his case against him.
If you ever want to go out again, I'll be happy to take you, Columbo.
That weirdly came off as a threat. Slam harder on that lettuce, dude.
Hey, Lieutenant. How goes it? So, huh? How about a bowl of chili?
So.
Well, give me some chili.
There you go. Coming right up, Lieutenant.
You got a match?
Sure. Let me get this chili to you. How do you like that coffee?
What's this?
Is that black?
What it is?
That's my helmet from the war.
What war?
What war? World War II. My wife says I can never throw anything out, so the other day she put her foot down. She says either Joan goes or she goes.
You decided to keep her.
It was a tough decision. Anyway, I brought all my war trophies over here. You know, I guess my wife is right. I can't give anything away. Especially when it means something to you.
Oh, the gun.
Yeah, that's a long
gun.
time ago, Lieutenant.
Right, give me a dime.
Okay, Lieutenant. There you go.
Mrs. Stewart, Lieutenant Columbo.
Hey, Lieutenant, how goes it? There was a really good fan art somebody did of that scene. They did a great drawing that was like a recreation of that scene. I want to get it as an art print. You guys can't see, but other than this lovely artwork right here, I have 2 more above that I got off Etsy. And I want to expand my Columbo art collection because there are so many talented artists out there. I feel like her outfits, I either love them or hate them.
Mrs. Stewart, see that book? That's a Marine military manual. Do you know the story behind that book?
No, Martin wanted to wait till the first rush of tourists had passed so he could explain everything to me himself.
Oh. See, I guess he wants you to know what kind of man he is, too. A sniper tried to kill him, and that book stopped the bullet. And you know he never batted an eye? That tells you something about what kind of man he is.
Yes. That he's a man filled with courage.
More than a great deal. I think he has an unusual amount of courage. I mean, if it was me, I would faint. I mean, most people would take time to recover. You see, I think he's a very cool man under pressure.
Hmm.
Hey, that's nice, isn't it? Isn't that beautifully cut? You know, I think it's almost too nice. I mean, all that concern about clothes, it's kind of vain, don't you think?
Some men, Lieutenant, do not want to look like an unmade bed.
Jeez. He's like, all right, duly noted.
Look at that. I mean, this man just had a natural flair for attracting attention to himself.
Sometimes undesirable attention, Lieutenant. You don't seem surprised to see me.
Oh, I was kind of expecting you.
I'd like to know what this is all about.
All right, sir. I'll get right to the point. It has to do with that duplicate of your gun.
What about it?
I find it hard to believe that a man like General Hollister, who saved and cherished every war souvenir, even the smallest photograph, I just think it's strange that he was so careless as to allow his gun to be stolen. Was the most famous single symbol of his whole legend. You agree with me, don't you?
It's the actual gun.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, if it was me, if it was my gun, I would take very good care of that gun. And I would keep it oiled, and I would keep it loaded. When a certain Colonel Dutton came to see me and threatened to expose me, that's the gun that I would use.
Well, if what you say is true, I mean, you
Got him.
searched. Where is that gun?
That's what I ask myself. Why not on public display? Why not in a glass case? Why not in front of thousands of people?
But he is shooting daggers with his eyes.
And after we found Colonel Dutton's body, anybody else, you, me, anybody else, we'd have gotten rid of that gun. We found the bullet in the victim. And a ballistics check will match up the bullet with the gun. But somehow, General, something told me that you could never get rid of that gun. It meant too much to you.
It was his baby.
You couldn't even part with a cigarette lighter. Tied up
Human nuances.
But there never was a duplicate made. Was there? This, in fact, is the murder.
It was unlocked.
Isn't it, General?
I assume ballistics has checked out the gun.
Bringing all your buddies.
That won't be necessary.
All right, Lieutenant. I'm sorry.
Are you? Oh, good. That relationship will never see the light of day. No, thank you. I feel horrible for her.
What is it with me, Lieutenant, huh? I seem to have a special talent, you know? I mean, with all the men in the world, I always seem to pick Mr. Wrong. I'm seriously considering locking myself in a closet for the rest of my life.
No, that's wrong. That's just the way my niece Marilyn felt after her divorce. Now she's got a new husband. As a matter of fact, he's a cop, and they got 6 kids.
Lieutenant, I mean, just between us, would you tell me the truth? Do you really have a niece?
Well, what kind of a question is that? Do I really have a niece?
Do you?
Of course I've got a niece. My wife's sister's girl, Cynthia.
Okay, so I guess that's like one of the rare true facts about Columbo's family. Because it's interesting, you never know when he's telling the truth or when he's lying. But I think we can take that as possible confirmation that he was actually telling the truth there. I think he was telling the truth there. All right, guys, we are going to make this quick, but it is time to read from Shooting Columbo. So my notes in here are kind of funny. I try to sum up the gist of what this book says about the behind the scenes, because again, there's so much in here and I could probably read this entire book if I wanted to. So basically, the whole thing behind this episode, there is a rather hefty section in this book that details the fact that Peter Falk wanted to direct an episode of Columbo, and NBC was like, no, absolutely not. I think Levinson and Link weren't exactly gung-ho on it either. And basically, to give you guys a quick summary, Peter Falk threw a fit and he pretended to be sick and made it like this whole big deal, and NBC suspended him. So it was like this battle of the wits between Peter Falk and NBC, and as far as I understand, they didn't always have a great relationship, and the production behind this show ended up being rather tumultuous. Okay, so regarding Columbo's ID, we were never actually supposed to see it. Shooting Columbo details, Dead Weight did provide fans with an answer to one long-standing mystery, even if it was the wrong answer. One of Levinson and Link's rules of Columbo was that, just as the audience would never see Columbo's wife, Columbo was never to divulge his first name. Link noted, no, he never had a first name. And I have to be honest with you, Dick and I didn't know what his first name was either. We had a pact with Peter, though, way back at the beginning, that we would never tell the audience his first name. We wanted to keep them intrigued. Yet Dead Weight called for a scene in which Columbo must flash his badge and police ID. So a Universal prop man designed an ID card with Columbo's picture and a quick signature, never thinking that the viewers would be able to decipher his scrawl on their state-of-the-art 19-inch Zeniths. The wallet, badge, and ID remained part of Columbo's standard wardrobe for 7 seasons. Even Bill Link had no idea that Columbo was carrying around a fake ID until fans were able to freeze-frame home videos on their high-definition TVs. Yeah, so on his ID, it's really obvious. Like, it's not even, I don't really even think it's that blurred out. If you look on his ID, it very clearly says Lieutenant Frank Columbo. So I don't really know how they thought that nobody was going to notice that, especially like fans being hardcore fans. One thing that fans do best is they love finding the little details. So they'll go through and they'll pause and they'll zoom in, and this is something that every fandom does. People love looking for those details. So naturally, if you flash Columbo's ID, people are going to want to know like more information about the character. So I think it's funny that they just thought that nobody was going to notice. That is your tiny little tidbit for today. In general, I enjoyed this episode. I definitely don't think it's one of the stronger ones of this series, or maybe just not one of the stronger ones of season 1. Like, it's good, I enjoy it, but it just, I don't think it like sticks in your brain as much as it could have. I think they played on some interesting things, like Mrs. Stewart being a witness to a crime she wasn't supposed to witness. I think they could have maybe made that a little bit more interesting and maybe added some more tension there. I'm gonna look at my notes real quick. General Hollister, yeah, he's probably one of the more chill murderers, but I didn't find anything remarkably captivating about him, if that makes sense. I mean, some of the best killers, like, you're actually super invested in, and he just didn't really make that much of an impression on me. Not that I thought the performance is bad, it's just like nothing really stuck with me about the character. Again, with Mrs. Stewart, I like the fact that she was a witness, but I think that they could have carried that out, maybe like go maybe a little bit farther with it, make it more interesting. Maybe, I don't know, give us the notion that this guy actually might try to take her life. Is that too dark? I don't know. I think it's a very enjoyable piece of television, but I think in the slew of season 1 episodes, it's kind of like, okay. But I still enjoyed it. You know, watching Peter Falk as Columbo is such a treat. I love watching his reactions to these situations that he's put in, whether it's on the boat or with other people. It's really fun. Not a fan of that mother character, though. She is low-key a gaslighter and manipulative and horrible.
She always did have a weird imagination. Even as a child. It's very good therapy, and she needs it. No wonder he asked you for a divorce.
Like, I feel like she was just an extra character that was there for no reason, and her presence annoyed me. Like, I don't really know what she provided unless they were going to carry that through with the daughter. Unless, of course, the entire premise of the episode was about the mother-daughter relationship, and maybe the daughter killing the mother. Maybe I'm getting too morbid here. But I had fun watching this episode nonetheless. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of this 3rd episode of Columbo, Dead Weight. Click that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to watch Columbo with me. We're just here to have a good time, guys, and I'm happy to have you along for the ride. I will see you next week when we watch the episode. I think it's suitable for framing. We're gonna go with suitable by framing. Suitable for framing. And if that's not correct, it's not correct. Until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next reaction video. See you later.